Have you ever wondered how some people make eating healthy, exercise, and managing stress look so easy? You can too. Welcome to Wellness Wisdom, where we uncover the secrets to lasting health and happiness and empower you to make wise health choices, see results, and create a healthy lifestyle for good. Join Camille Kennard, licensed social worker, certified health and wellness coach, a self-care specialist on the journey to explore how to make health and well-being possible for you. It's a health and wellness journey you can take together. Please welcome your host, Camille Kennard.
Welcome, everybody, to Wellness Wisdom, and Happy New Year. I love the new year when we get to kind of think about what do we want this year to look like? What do we want 2020 to be like? The goals we have, the things that we're setting out to do. And I hope as you listen to Wellness Wisdom that some of your goals are, how can I improve my health? How can I take better care and make myself a priority in my life? And I love what we're going to talk about today because it's a topic of health that not a lot of us think about. We're going to talk about our dental and oral health. And I have my guest, Janice King, with me here today. And she's oral health advocate, and she's the CEO and co-founder of Triology. Janice, welcome to the podcast today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. Janice lives in Kansas City, and we've been kind of chatting a little bit. I love how my podcast connects me with people from all over the country and all over the world. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Janice. She's the co-founder and CEO of Triology. Like I said, it's a breakthrough oral health product focused on strengthening oral health for overall systemic health. Janice is a 20-year researcher in the area of oral health and oral systemic connection, a formulator with 3 U.S. patents, and a co-founder of the Now System, Inc. Janice and her co-founder, Dale Winetroub, opened the first non-dental mouth care center in the United States, where they studied the effect of oral hygiene products, medicine, stress, age, health status, and lifestyle on oral health. I'm really excited to talk about this. She got a grant from the National Science Foundation, and Janice and Dale are currently researching how family members of individuals diagnosed with age-related Alzheimer's disease feel about the disease and what they're doing to reduce their risk factors. So, Janice, as I was reading your bio, I think this is so interesting. There's just so many things that our oral and dental health, how it affects us, right? I would love for you to tell us a little bit of how did you get into studying dental health and the mouth and all the things that you are passionate about? What started you on that journey?
Well, thank you. Well, about 20 years ago, I ran across a study report by the U.S. Surgeon General of the United States on oral health in America, May 2000. And it's out there on the internet still today. There's a new one coming out next year, and I'm so excited to see the update from 20 years ago. But I started reading this report, and I couldn't stop reading it. As soon as I read where the Surgeon General said there is an oral pandemic in America, meaning that the oral disease was at a state of pandemic. And this was about the time where swine flu was making its first big splash in America. And it's kind of like the vaping right now, because the swine flu, they'd come on, they'd go, oh, there's, 2 more deaths in the United States from swine flu, or, so many cases that are reporting this. Nothing we ever heard or read about the pandemic of oral disease in America and what it was doing to our population. So the more I read and the more I shared this with Dale, the more we were intrigued and wanted to find out why. And and that led us on a journey of, like I said, 20 years. We were both successful in our own companies. I owned an accounting practice. I was an enrolled agent with the Department of Treasury, which meant I could go into the federal tax courts with my clients and represent them. Dale owned a furniture store for 35 years. We sold our businesses and made this our lifetime commitment. And that's why we went before the Kansas Dental Board and got their permission to open the first non-dental mouth care center in the United States. And what their guidelines were is we could do anything that a person could do in the privacy of their own bathroom, basically. So we could do oral hygiene. But what we wanted to learn was it just poor oral hygiene? Was it disease? What was really behind the pandemic? And so for 4 years, everybody came in. We had a very extensive survey that we took. We knew what products they used, what their work schedules were. They have children. Were they married? Were they divorced? Did they still have their parents? What was their stress levels? Everything that we could find out, medications they were using. And we compiled this for 4 years. And what we learned from that study that we did was that people in America do not have poor oral hygiene habits. If anything, we overbrush our teeth. We are obsessed with white teeth. We are obsessed with clean breath. So we do not represent a nation of people that are just lazy and go for days or weeks without brushing their teeth. No, we are a nation that overemphasizes oral hygiene. What this led us to understand was that the hygiene products that were developed 50, 60 years ago to reduce tooth decay were very effective. But they were the very products that were damaging and harmful to the soft tissues in the mouth. So think 60 years ago, right after World War II, and they really, the government really wanted to reduce tooth decay. And because tooth decay, the thing is, the more teeth you lose, the poorer your health becomes, the more chronic diseases supposedly you have. And so this was a big movement to eradicate and do away with tooth decay. Well, 50, 60 years ago, you can't know what you don't know. And what science didn't know at the time was that the gram-positive bacteria that causes tooth decay is not the bacteria that causes the gums to break down. And we didn't have any idea about the microbiome or the role that microbiome has in our health. And that's all the bacteria that live within that area. And in the oral microbiome, there's 700 species of bacteria and fungi. And then there's subsets, kind of like cousins and aunts and uncles of the 700. And they have to live in balance. And what we were doing in our effort to get rid of tooth decay is we were killing off so many of the gram-positive bacteria that we were allowing this overgrowth of gram-negative bacteria. So they're not bad bacteria. There's really no bad bacteria. It's just, can the bacteria get someplace where it's bad for us? So for example, is E. coli. We have to have E. coli in our system or we would die. But when the E. coli bacteria moves to some place where it's not supposed to be, we can also die. So, it's just that balance of where is it at and how much do we have of it? And if it's in the wrong place, we're going to get really sick. If it's in the right place, we're going to be healthy. So in the mouth, we've learned now, 50, 60 years later, after we've done all this damage to our gums, that it's about balance. And so we still have this problem with our oral products. If the body should not have anything put into it that you can't read the name of.
Yeah, those long names, right?
Oh my gosh, man-made
processed
chemicals. Our body doesn't know what to do with a man-made chemical, but you give it nutrients, you give it organic, full nutrients, body immediately recognizes it and immediately utilizes it in restoring the health of tissues. So what we started doing then after the 4-year studies, we started working to formulate an oral product that would actually nurture the gums. Because in this report I mentioned back in the May 2000 report by the Surgeon General, they identified that the gums are your gateway to health. If the gums aren't healthy, you're not healthy. And that includes things like 20 years ago, they identified dementia and Alzheimer's. gums aren't healthy, your risk go way up for acquiring dementia and Alzheimer's. Same thing with cardiovascular disease, rheumatoid arthritis, infertility. It's associated with balancing diabetics. Their insulin levels. You got to have strong, healthy gums. So the brain tumors, I mean, it just goes on and on and on of what this gum health does. And when we don't have it, what's the consequence? So we don't think of our mouth as being part of our gut microbiome system. We always think it starts in the stomach.
Yeah.
It does start in the mouth. And with what we're chewing, the more dense the nutrition, the more raw the food is, the healthier it is. Well, as we're chewing it, it's releasing enzymes and it's providing nutrients in the mouth, but it's also picking up bacteria that live in the mouth that are part of our digestive system. And so as we chew, it's picking up the bacteria. The bacteria is then carried on the food into the stomach and utilized there. If that bacteria is not in the mouth to be attached to the food and carried to the stomach, we're going to have all kinds of digestive issues. And when we're using strong chemicals to kill bacteria, you can't designate, do you want to kill A bacteria, B bacteria, or C bacteria? It's going to kill randomly a bunch of bacteria. Not only is it killing the bacteria, it's also killing human cells, because bacteria are cells. And if you're trying to randomly kill a bunch of bacteria to reduce the risk of tooth decay or reduce the risk of bad breath, you're also killing just as many human cells of soft tissue that line our mouth. So, this idea of harsh chemicals and the whole target is to just kill bacteria is not the direction that we need to go in if we want to have a healthy mouth.
So what you were finding, just so I can be clear and help my listeners be clear, is that what we put in our mouths, whether it's mouthwash or toothpaste or those kinds of things, can actually do the opposite of what we're wanting, and there's some negative effects of the chemicals that are in them. I think it's interesting that you said, in the United States, we want our teeth to look good, right? And so we're kind of more focused on, is it hygienic rather than is it healthy, right? Does it look good? I think that's so interesting, because it sounds like what you're saying is sometimes in order to take care of our bad breath or do the mouthwash or whatever, we're actually putting things into our mouth that kill the good bacteria that our actual gut needs in order for us to get processed food, the enzymes we need, all of that. Is that right? So kind of some of the things we're using. Okay.
You're absolutely correct. And so there was a study that was done, and we were asked if our product could be part of that study. And so this was 2015 when it was published, but they looked at products that were used across dentistry and the effect it had on the human cells. So they were concerned with human cells, and so they took products such as Listerine, Rinsenol. What are some of the other ones they used? But Triology rinse was the one they selected because it was a combo. They called it a combo product. And so of all the products they tested, that we were all effective at inhibiting the growth of bacteria. And there's a difference between inhibiting and just killing, but we were all effective at inhibiting. When it came to human cells, all the other products, even the ones that were wound healing products, specifically given to people for wound healing, upon contact with human cells, they killed out over 90% of all the human cells that they came in contact with. Our product killed out 18% of the human cells. So when you want to heal, so whether it's from gum infection, bleeding gums, or a mouth sore, you don't want to reset the healing cycle over and over again because you want the healing to take place. Well, on products that overkill bacteria, that they're randomly targeting to kill bacteria, they kill the human cells. It resets the healing system, the cycle. So when we get an injury, the immune system immediately is signaled, and they send out special cells that cause inflammation. And they're like little fire cells, because they want to make sure that as they're healing the area, that there's no bacteria that's going to get into that wound. So they temporarily send out these inflammatory cells as they're rapidly healing. Well, that's wonderful to set the healing cycle. And as long as that healing cycle is allowed to continue, the immune system doesn't have to send out any more inflammatory cells to raise the temperature and prevent bacteria from thriving in the wound. What happens when you use a product and it keeps killing off the bacteria, it's also killing off the human cells. And every time you kill off those human cells, the rehealing cycle has to start again. So the immune system says, oh, I got to send out more flamethrowers to raise the temperature and keep the environment elevated. And then we use, again, say a mouthwash, and we use it again twice a day at least, and we start the healing cycle all over again. When the tissue fails to heal, it becomes chronic inflammation. Chronically inflamed tissues. And chronically inflamed tissues then have an excess supply of cells and blood trying to heal this area that has now chronically become a problem. Well, when the inflammation is there, as it's trying to heal the cells, heal the tissues that aren't healing, then they put off byproducts. Well, byproducts of inflammation happen to be a great food source for a particular bacteria called P. gingivalis. And P. gingivalis is the one that is very aggressive when it gets an opportunity to leave the mouth. It moves to every area in the body. They've shown through DNA that the P. gingivalis is coming from the mouth, and it's found in the amyloid plaque in the brain of Alzheimer's patients.
Interesting.
Yes, it's found in the plaque in cardiovascular patients.
And it's in our mouth.
It starts in our mouth, and when it's allowed to leave, and the only way it can leave and successfully succeed is it has to go through the gums. And for years and years, they said, oh, that's not a problem because we have this great blood-brain barrier, and it'll keep any bacteria out that tries to get through it. New science now shows, well, it also jumps on the nerve pathways. So it has a superhighway, and it doesn't have to depend on the blood to carry where it wants to go. It has channels of nerves, and we know the nerves go everywhere. It can get into the lymphatic system, and it can travel through our lymphatic system. And so it travels, and if it travels to our joints, it's called rheumatoid arthritis. If it travels to our cardiovascular system, then it's called cardiovascular disease. And if it travels to the brain, it's called Alzheimer's. So in earlier this year, a peer-reviewed public study, and only rely on peer-reviewed studies, because those are ones to where when they're submitted, others have to review their data. Other scientists have to review their data, and they have to say, this isn't biased, this isn't made up, this is duplicatable. And so it's valid science. So peer-reviewed is very critical. We also are very supportive of open access research. We think everybody should have the access to see all the research that's being done out there in the world. So once in a while, we have to pay for research, but we really do support open access research. So what they've found is because this bacteria now can leave the mouth through the gums when they're not strong and healthy, and they're causing systemic diseases. They're causing erectile dysfunction. They're causing infertility issues. So families, couples that are wanting to have their children and they're running into issues of fertility, they really need to look at the health of their gums, because it could be that this is an area that is actually causing some of their problems. Also, these bacteria that are part of the microbiome, as long as their levels are healthy, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And they're not harmful. It's only when they have an opportunity to overgrow and the gums aren't healing, and then they have open access. So if the gates are closed, we stay healthy. When the gates become damaged and they can't heal, that's when problems arise. So here's what happens. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, this is so interesting. So actually, there's a lot of diseases that are connected to that bacteria that comes out from our gums. If our gums are not in a healthy form, it makes a lot of sense to me when you were talking about, is it gingivalis? Is that what the bacteria there?
It's P. gingivalis, yes.
Gingivalis.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something that Alzheimer's, cardiovascular issues, all of these things can be influenced by simply the bacteria going throughout our body. Is that kind of, okay.
Absolutely. Another bacteria is called T. denticola. T. denticola, when it gets into the body, and it's a spirochete, so when it's under attack, it makes a little tiny ball. And it looks like it's dead. So for a long time, they thought when they would treat T. denticola and it would go into a little tiny ball, they go, oh, well, that bacteria is dead. Well, what they didn't realize is, no, it just plays possum. And when the environment's right, maybe years later, it opens back up. It makes into like a little corkscrew. That's why I call it a spirochete. It mimics Lyme disease.
Mm.
So when you have things that are overall body aches and, just all kinds of issues that you can't pinpoint. And, you go from one doctor to the next doctor to the next doctor trying to get a diagnosis. A lot of times when they drill down, they find that there's a T. denticola behind these health issues. So again, keeping the T. denticola at a very low number in your mouth is important, but more important than anything is strong, healthy gums. You've got to keep the gates closed. Now, when we're young and we're healthy, like in our 20s and 30s, and we think we're going to live forever, and we certainly don't need to worry about our diet or our lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what we think, right?
We think, yeah. Okay, so when we get to about 40, things change in the body, and scientists don't know yet why, but there's a lot of things that can influence this change. So when you think of our saliva, it's like water. So if you took a tablespoon of water and you poured it on your kitchen counter and you watched it, it would free flow out. And that's what young, healthy saliva is. It just bathes our tissues constantly, day and night, and it just, it goes between our teeth and just everywhere within our mouth. And it's carrying the nutrients that are necessary for the constant and continuous repair of our gums. We damage our gums when we brush our teeth.
Mm-hmm.
We damage our gums.
Recession.
Yeah. And
quick brushing.
fast, and with the stiffest bristle we can find, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like amazing. We want to scrub these things so hard that they shine,
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, we should be using the baby toothbrush.
Yeah. That's what my dad told me. You're getting out all your frustration on your teeth.
Yeah.
Get a electric toothbrush or something, right? That just stays at that certain, yeah.
Yeah. And the softest bristles you can get, because really,
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to scrub everything away. You certainly don't want to brush on your gums because you're going to put micro cuts in them, and then that's got to be repaired. So when you're young and your saliva is flowing everywhere and it's rich with nutrients and your gums are staying healthy, well, when we get to about 40, the saliva condenses. And we don't know why. We know what happens. It's studied over and over again. We know what happens. So you take this saliva that in your 30s was like water. Now let's take it like it's pancake syrup. You pour that tablespoon on your kitchen counter. Yes, it still flows, it still moves, but it doesn't move like water. So now your gums aren't getting that continuous bathing of this great nutrient-rich saliva to keep your gums healthy. When you're over 65 and you see a lot of elderly people and they're kind of smacking their mouth because their saliva is so condensed, it's uncomfortably dense, and it's like the consistency of honey. So you pour a tablespoon of honey on your kitchen counter, and it's just going to kind of pool there in a little round ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's not moving about. So it's not moving over the gums and between the teeth and bathing the gums. So the idea of having strong, healthy gums is, one, you don't want to introduce harsh chemicals into the environment. You don't want things that are going to, when you think if it's going to kill bacteria, it's also going to kill human cells. So you want to be very careful and not overdo anything like that. But you also have to have healthy saliva. And when we get to 40, now in our country, about 47% of people 45 and older have gum disease. That's a lot of people. By the time we get to 65, 71% of all Americans have some form of gum disease. And then we wonder why we have so many systemic diseases.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's all related, and it all drills back down to the health of our saliva. So when we get to about 40 in our country, we're generally on 1 to 3 medications, and that's sad. Mm-hmm. But they can be over-the-counter medications. They don't just have to be prescribed drugs. Ibuprofen for pain management decreases saliva. Acne medications, antidepressants, high blood pressure medication, statin drugs. I mean, so many things that we take for granted when we're living our lives decrease the amount and the free-flowing ability of saliva. So you take, now age is an issue, which is interesting because in all age-related Alzheimer's disease, the plaque starts building at least 20 years before the outward symptoms of the disease. 20 years, the bacteria is leaving the mouth, it's going to the brain, it's building up plaque deposits, and 20 years later, it's finally reached to a tipping point to where you see that the person now has memory issues. They now have issues of remembering, where they go, how they do things, and it only progresses. And science has done a great job because they know how to remove the plaque now. We can successfully remove the plaque out of the brain of an Alzheimer's patient. The damage is not reversed. So
this is so interesting. I love everything you're talking about. And what I think is so amazing is that all these diseases can be linked back to the health of our gums, the health of our oral health, right? Which makes a lot of sense because that's where everything starts, right? Is in our mouth. And I love your story because you were just very curious about, well, what's going on here with why is this a pandemic that's going on in our world, and then you wanting to help people improve their gum health. So we're going to take a little break, but when we get back, I would love for you to talk about what Triology does to improve gum health. What can people do if they have been damaging their gums? What can they do to preserve those gums and do what they can to honestly take better care of their health for the long term?
All right, great.
Do you feel stressed, overweight, and unhappy? Are you tired of setting goals that you don't accomplish? Do you want more energy, motivation, and focus to create your dreams? Many people struggle to keep up the commitment, motivation, and confidence to be successful, to reach their goals and aspirations. They often let other things get in the way of their personal health and happiness. It doesn't have to be this way. You can change. Join us for a 6-week online health transformation workshop. Learn about the mind-body connection, overcome obstacles to health, create daily health rituals, get support from others like you, and change your life for good. Register now at flourishwellnessconsulting.com under online group workshops or email Camille at flourishwellnessconsulting.com. Our gift to you as a podcast listener is $50 off the Transformation Workshop. Use the promo code PODCAST50 when you register. This year, make peace with your body and like who you are for good.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wellness Wisdom. We're having a great conversation this new year. We're talking about how our gums and our oral health affect our whole body. It affects everything. And I'm talking to Janice King, who's the CEO and co-founder of Triology. And she has products that she helps people use that do not damage the bacteria in their mouth. I didn't know this. This is super interesting to me that a lot of times what we're using, whether it's our mouthwash or our toothpaste or whatever, can actually be damaging good bacteria. And the bacteria that's bad or negative or can damage our health is actually traveling through our body and can be a cause to Alzheimer's and all these different diseases. I had no idea about this. This is so interesting to me. Janice, I asked before the break if you would kind of describe to us, how do we improve our gum health? How do we improve our oral health? What's the first thing that we can do to improve that?
Well, I think the first thing is diet, because what we put in our mouth, if it's processed foods, it has no nutritional value that our mouth can use. Mm-hmm. So, diet is the first pillar. What you eat is what you are. Eat
alive food, not dead food, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But we also know that people are very busy, and it's really challenging to eat that diet sometimes when your schedule is so hectic with your running around after your children with their practices and their activities and your career and your husband. I mean, women, we multitask all the time,
mm-hmm.
And so we have really good intentions, but then we find out that, I'll have to do it again tomorrow. I was too busy today to really prepare meal plans and do what I want to do. So we said, if we're going to have a formulation to help people, it has to be something that can supplement what they know they should be doing, but they're too busy to do it every day. And so that went into one of the pillars of our product is meeting the reality that people have good intentions. They're not lazy. They're just extremely busy. Mm-hmm. So then the other thing was, as people age, we know the saliva condenses. And as it condenses, we need to supplement it so that it can be free-flowing again. We need to have a formulation that's all plant-based that actually allows for the increase in saliva through stimulation of the saliva glands, but also then we have to dilute it with a material that will blend immediately with saliva and be just as effective as saliva. So, and it has to be something that people can feel free if they swallow it. Because, if you want to do a really deep gargle, if you want to use it on young children, if you want to use it on special needs, if you want to use it with the elderly, it's got to be a product that is so safe and beneficial that no one is restricted from being able to have the benefits of this product. So that's where we started. And so we, being very, very health conscious ourselves for many years, Dale and myself, and we always tried to eat raw and super greens and really, live a healthy lifestyle. So we turned to what we knew about nutrition and delved deeply into that. And so we brought together some ingredients, some whole plants that really work extremely well with the oral environment. One of those is the inner leaf, the organic inner leaf of aloe vera. And when it's topically applied, now study after study has been done that when the saliva's nutritional values are declining, they've tried supplements, they've tried food, and what goes in the stomach does not come back in your saliva. And just one of those facts. So you have to do a topical application to deliver these nutrients. And that's how saliva, when it's young and healthy, it carries these nutrients to the mouth. As the saliva ages and condenses, it becomes nutrient deficient. So we have to support it, just support it with. So we use inner leaf aloe vera. And the reason we use inner leaf is because the outer leaf of aloe vera is high in latex. And if you use products with latex in them every day, you're likely to develop a latex allergy. And we knew that when we were developing these products, we wanted to make products that were never going to build up an allergy to the consumer, because we knew this was a lifestyle project that they were going to be using. And so only the inner leaf of the organic aloe vera. Another of the whole plant that we use is organic whole leaf wheatgrass. Now, it does not have grain. It's gluten-free. So just like everything has to be latex-free, our products also have to be gluten-free, because we don't want people that have gluten allergies to, be influenced by a product that would have gluten. So the wheatgrass is grown in the United States. It's grown in glacier fields. These are glaciers that came down in, the early development of our earth, and it deposits really rich nutrients, minerals and nutrients into the soil where it stopped and melted. These fields have never been commercially farmed, so they've never had commercial fertilizers or chemicals or pesticides. And so we buy only this organic whole leaf wheatgrass. Is cut when it's about 7 inches. It's got all the potential of what it's going to do to build that stalk of grain. So it's really nutrient dense at the time that it's cut. We don't kill the wheat because it'll grow right back. It's like cutting your lawn.
Yeah.
So it's sustainable, because they get several cuttings off of it a season. And then the very last part of it is they do let it go onto the grain, finish its cycle. But this is so rich with chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is, it's like chlorophyll to a plant is like blood for a human.
Yeah. And
it's extremely beneficial to our health. And so we selected the organic whole leaf wheatgrass, and it's a fine powder. But then you also need essential oils. So we turned to things like sweet almond oil. So the organic sweet almond oil, we never use anything that's been diffused from the skin of the almond. And that way we reduce the risk for people who have nut allergies. Mm-hmm. Allergy generally comes from the skin, not the pulp of the almond. And so, and then we use organic peppermint oil. It's a great antiseptic. Mm-hmm. So, but we brought these together, and it became a synergistic union. New compounds were formed from these compounds within these plants. And so we went through a vast amount of testing and studies, and then submitted that to the U.S. Department of Patents and Trademarks. And we've been granted 3 patents on our formulations. And so, they're unique in what they do, because they do like saliva. You think of them as infusing this saliva supplement. And you can use it, as often as you need, but it will remain with the tissues for 12 hours. So, you can use it as often as you want. It's healthier than the food we eat. Mm-hmm. It really is. But every 12 hours is all you need to use it. And it will do that job of clinging to the gums and providing the nutrients, putting the barrier down, because saliva puts this barrier all around your gums to protect them while they're healing. And that's what we do, is we wrap your gums in this protective barrier so that the healing and the nutrients are there for the healing. The body's doing the work. Mm-hmm. We don't heal anything.
If you give it the right environment, it can heal itself, right?
And that's what we do, is we give it a barrier around the gums so that it's protected, the nutrients that the immune system needs, and then the body takes care of healing them and keeping them healed. Because like I said, we damage our gums all day long. Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing we need to learn how to do, and it's so impactful, is manage our stress.
That's the biggest thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Do I don't know if anybody's really noticed how it happens, but when you get under anxiety or a lot of stress, all of a sudden your mouth is dry as parchment paper. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Well, so
anxiety is the biggest thing I see and work with. So it's very common. Mm-hmm.
So people who have a high level of stress,
tension in your mouth, all that.
Tension, and all of a sudden it's like, you can't really talk because it's so dry. That's when you really need to add some more Triology, because you want to keep that barrier going. You want to keep that saliva in your mouth. And when you get under a lot of stress, that's when it gets the driest. It's just part of our reaction is that, anxiety is
that fight or flight, and
exactly.
Yeah.
and you don't need to be slobbering when you're running away.
Yeah. So this is so great. So the nutrients that are in your Triology supplements are actually things like just natural from the earth, aloe vera, whole leaf wheatgrass, essential oils, things that the earth already has given us. I believe that what we've been given in the earth is there to help heal us. And so you guys have formulated these supplements that actually promote the nutrients that the saliva needs to make your mouth a healthy place, right? Make your mouth that place that then your rest of your system can work through, and that bacteria that is supposed to be there will be there. I think this is so really interesting about how much we need to work on our dental and our mouth health, what's going on inside of our mouth. So there's no chemicals or anything in what you guys have. It's all natural. Is it in pill forms? Is it like a cream you put on your teeth? What?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, when we were working with our formulas, we did not do this alone. I'm just not smart enough to do this by myself. We brought together a great team of dentists and scientists and researchers to help us with this project. And so our products were originally formulated to meet the gap in dentistry. And so when we were working with these dentists, they wanted a product to use during surgery. And they wanted a product to use during hygiene procedures. And they wanted a product, that they could send home with their patients for ongoing care. And so we have been in dentistry for 10 years now. And we provide products in Canada, United States, Australia, Bulgaria, so several countries around the world, as well as in the United States. And so out of this, it was when the dentist would say, I have a need. And we'd say, well, let us work on that.
We'll meet that need, find something natural, right, that can help.
Right. And so we actually started with the what we call a serum. It was really, really dense and used in surgery, and then it came out to the hygiene, and then it was like, well, let's give the patient a rinse they can use every day. Let's give them a brushing gel to replace their chemical-based toothpaste. So from what they asked for, we now have a rinse. We have a brushing gel. We have a treatment pen for targeting areas that, you really want to just target. It's good for both, when you get a burn in the roof of your mouth, or you bite your cheek, or you bite your tongue. But it's also good for the sores that we get around our mouth. Some people get in the winter time, particularly, the cold sores, the fever blisters. If you treat it right before when you first start feeling the tingle, it never breaks out. It just subsides because it sends that virus right back to the root, the nerve ending, and it it doesn't ever come out. So then we also have, let's see what else we have. Like extreme dry mouth formula that was a request. And so we formulated that. So there's a lot of things. Now, the newest product isn't going to be out until 2020, and that is truly a dietary supplement that you use a dropper. It's 2 mils under your tongue in the morning, and it just goes everywhere and gives you that 12-hour shield. And then you use another 2 dropperfuls at night, the last thing you do before you go to sleep. And that puts all those nutrients and that barrier on your gums while the body's doing all of its healing for 12 hours while you sleep. So that'll be out.
And do you need to use something every 12 hours then, because the barrier disappears after the 12 hours? Kind of tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. So what it is like essential oils, and studies have shown that when you use these essential oils and they carry the nutrients, they will stay in place in the tissues for up to 12 hours. And that's why our products have all been developed to work for 12 hours. And then you reapply it. We do have some that, a lot of the patients are using it based on what their dentist tells them to do. And then others just buy extras because they're going to use it how they want to do it. Again, you cannot overuse the product.
So I have a curiosity just because of my own dental issues. I've had, we have a family genetic thing where we don't have the right amount of teeth. So I've had, implants and all kinds of dental work done. And I actually have where my gums have receded because of probably brushing too hard, right? And there's a lot of people I know that have done this or had this issue. And then it's very sensitive in that area, right? Because the nerves are there. So is there anything you can do to benefit that? Do your gums, are your gums able to grow back? Tell me a little bit about that.
The gums are alive and the tissues are alive.
Yeah.
So yes, can you grow them back to where they were when you were 20? No, probably not that extensive, but we do have dentists that use our products after oral cancer.
Okay.
And they have shown in their studies that it actually regenerates bone and regenerates tissue. So everybody's going to be unique. But on the issue of pain, wheatgrass has amazing pain management compounds in it. So it will definitely take care of the discomfort. And with time, you can forget that you have any nerve endings that are bothering you. But the treatment pen also then provides you a very targeted way to apply the formulation directly to the area that's uncomfortable, that's painful. And so it's great for that. And again, it was requested by a dentist and it's been very popular because when they do graft surgery, or implants, you can't brush those areas for quite a while. They don't want that area disrupted. And so, they said that the treatment pen, as it's called, treatment pen, is great for that because it just is so soft. The bristles are just so gentle. And the gel is in a gel form, so you twist it up, it comes into the bristles, and you just simply glide it across. You don't brush it, just glide it across. And so they find that this is something that they want their patients to have available to them when they can't, quote, brush, because that's just terrible that we can't brush our teeth over there after we have had that graft surgery or implant done. Another problem with implants is their failure rate is caused by bacteria getting under and down into the implant site. And so with using a product that you can actually put around your implant or your crown, you just put that extra barrier that your saliva would normally have there for you. And once we get to 40, we know the saliva is changing. If we get on other medications, we know that our saliva is going to change. So these are things that, we want to make sure that's available. So, but yes, and, any time that, you have an oral issue, it needs healing, you really want to make sure that you're giving the nutrients to the mouth that's going to help it do that quickly.
I love that. I think that's so amazing that, as we give the nutrients to our mouth, no matter what it's been through, right? Maybe we're in our 30s or 40s or 60s, that the mouth can regenerate, and there's some hope that we can take better care of our physical health. Our mouth And so that affects everything in our body. I love everything you're talking about here. And I know we're almost out of time, but I'd love for you to share with us, I call it kind of the words of wisdom. What are 2 or 3 tips that people could just start out today doing to improve their health, their oral health?
Okay, I like this. Okay, people who like coffee and tea are full of polyphenols. Polyphenols are really, really good for our gums. Okay, but you can't swallow it. So if you're drinking hot coffee or hot tea, we're not going to swish it around our mouth. So when your coffee goes cold and you don't want to drink it anymore, that's when you should be sipping it and swishing it throughout your mouth to deposit those polyphenols into the tissues. Same thing with tea. You know, it may be hard to swish iced tea, may be hard to swish hot tea, but when that tea gets room temperature and now we don't want to drink it, that's when we really need to be swishing it throughout our mouth and delivering those polyphenols, so that, you know, that's the first step.
That would be herbal tea too, any kind of tea that way?
Tea and black tea. Yeah, real tea, green tea and black tea. I know there's a lot of things out there that are called tea now that are really not plant-based teas, but real either green tea or black tea, they're loaded with polyphenols. So if you can't do anything else during the day, but drink your warm coffee, but swish it instead of drinking it. Swish and swallow. I say swish and swallow and deliver those polyphenols. Because dentists do use our products, and they asked us to actually start up a website so that their patients could get their products if they wanted them to be on for lifetime. So about 2 years ago, we actually did that for the dentist. And so we do have an online site now to where people, consumers and dentists and patients all can go out and get the products online. So I recommend that if you're curious. There's all kinds of
isn't it Triology.com or?
It's triologycare.com.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, and it's got that extra O, is TRIOLOGY. It's funny because a lot of people will call the 800 number off the bottle the dentist gave them and go, I can't get to your website. And they're leaving out the first O. So they're getting to Trilogy, not Triology.
Okay.
So as soon as we tell them about it, they're like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. It's like, no, you're not embarrassed.
So this is so helpful. Thank you so much. So you can swish around. You can get some of these products to try them online. I think probably another big thing is what you eat, right? Eating food that's alive, that's from the earth, that can give you the nutrients that your body needs that way. Thank you so much, Janice, for being with us today. And if people want to get to know what you're doing, to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You know, we're going to have a great landing page. So if they go out to triologycare.com/wellness, then they're going to get to our landing page. From there, they can get into all the information. Every one of our team, and we have a very small team of product specialists, there's 6 of us, but we all love to answer questions and help people make decisions about what they need to introduce into their lifestyle in oral health. That number is 800-306-3041.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I love this. You guys, as you're thinking about your New Year's resolutions, things you want to do to improve your health, I think that if you can think about that oral health as one of the basics, that's really easy for us to do things to improve it. You know, maybe it's some of these products, or, you know, changing your diet, eating healthier food so your saliva is healthier. Everybody, as you're listening to this, I hope you can make kind of a goal of something you want to do in the new year to improve your oral health and to feel better, and possibly to help yourself so you don't get some of these diseases and issues later on. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and I hope you can continue to make peace with your body and like who you are. Take care.
Mindful health to help you flourish. What if in just 90 days you could completely change your life? If you could start losing the weight that's been weighing you down, get better sleep, eat better, have more energy, and have a healthy lifestyle for good. Have you ever wondered why changing your health is so hard? Do you want to believe it is possible? What you mentally focus on grows. This program is set up to help you grow a garden of health. In just 90 days, you can learn the habits of health. This is not a diet or a short-term health challenge, but a healthy lifestyle change for the long term. Health starts in your mind. Through this workbook and audios, you'll be guided and empowered with the confidence to see results and change your life. 30 days to plant the seeds of beliefs and mindset. 30 days to nourish the seeds through daily health habits. And 30 days to grow and thrive by gaining confidence and energy when you see the results of improved mood, weight release, and finding enjoyment in moving your body. Buy this program and watch yourself flourish. What you focus on grows. Let's grow a healthy body and mind. Reserve this program today by contacting Camille at flourishwellnessconsulting.com.